Oh, I'm sorry about this. Stream URL. We'll get this to Telegram. Okay. All right, so I hope you can. Oh dear. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. It's an absolute mess. Ah. Right, can you see and hear this? If you could just let me know. Hi, great. Thanks for your feedback there. That's excellent. So you can see and hear me okay? Brilliant. And you can see the screen okay? You can see the screen okay? So if someone can please give me some feedback quickly. Thanks very much, Tim. Appreciate that. So let's get cracking. So Leipzig have just had a goal disallowed against Bochum. They're a very strong favourite today. The usual suspects for goals before half-time, Hoffenheim and Werder Bremen. I've got the goal. Got the goals already. And there's already goals for Stuttgart. So it's already turning out to be a good opening day in the Bundesliga. Premier League 2, another one of those leagues I mentioned with that talk about over 2.5 goals. You can see a couple of them already. So that was the late lay of the draw in a QPR Plymouth match. Has to be done. 2 red cards. Thanks very much, Tim. Thank you very much to everybody else. I'm trialling this at the moment. Formlabs Black 15-day trial. It gives you live alerts. I'm not too sure how accurate it will be, but we'll give it a go. Every time there's a major incident, it gives you some additional information. So we'll have a look at that. So Mainz Union Berlin, tough one to call this one. These two look very well matched. Freiburg and Stuttgart already a goal for Stuttgart. I expect Leipzig, as indeed does the market, to score 2 or 3 goals today. Maybe a goal before half-time. They've already had one scrubbed off. Werder Bremen already scoring, and the Hoff, the usual suspects for goals before half-time, which means good over 2.5 goal team. So that's the 230s. I've got all of the odds-on favourites in the My Games facility here. And these are the matches which are live currently. Malmo have already scored. Here are the other matches. A lot of them we won't be interested in just yet, but 3 o'clock, of course, is when it all goes crazy. So we'll be looking at that with interest. So not much to talk about, just a little bit early. Normally 3 o'clock it will all get hectic. So we're just going to rely on the in-play stats on the opening day of the season in the Bundesliga, with Leipzig probably the side you really should be focusing on this season, particularly if you fancy over 2.5 goals. They did everything that you expected them to do. They showed all of the patterns that you saw last season. How many patterns? Well, over 2.5 goals, scoring 2+ goals, and again, getting out of jail with a 90th plus minute winner. So they are going to be your standout trading side this season, I think, like Leverkusen. You saw at the back end of last season, whenever they got in trouble, they managed to get an equaliser or a winner late on. And Florian Wirtz, probably a rebound off a penalty miss. Superb stuff there. So if you're going to trade one team this season, make it Leipzig. Goals before half-time, 2+ goals, and if ever in any trouble, they will get out of jail. That's going to be exciting. Well, Brighton late winner against Manchester United. I didn't really have an interest in that particular match. It's far too early in the season, and it's 2.4 the favourite as well. João Pedro with his 95th minute winner, and already 2 goals in the Augsburg Werder Bremen match. So let's just test out some ideas with over 2.5 goals. You've got Leipzig, for example. The market's telling you over 2.5 goals, but highly likely that we're going to see, well, getting a bit better, 1.76. Is that because we've waited 17 minutes? How impactful has a small delay been? As you can see, it's been nearly doubled the odds. So that's your first option with over 2.5 goals will be try to eke out a bit of time at 0-0. As you can see, look at that move upwards, nearly double the initial price after 17 minutes. That's what I call a bit of value. I wonder if we can play the half-time goals markets against 2.5 goals. This is just purely speculating, of course, so please don't follow me in here. Just going to do a bit of, so we're going to get an 18 minutes break for a 1.18 shot Leipzig, I think. So that we're expecting goals before half time. Now, can we cover it? Well, that's a bit high, isn't it, to lay over 0.5 goals. 1.37, I'm not sure, but we will see. First, port of call, delaying. Second, as I said in the video earlier on, if we're looking at over 2.5 goals, we've got the options of specifying a specific team that we fancy, Leipzig, for example, or we can go by the odds. Manchester City, for example, there. Tottenham against Everton. Well, Everton have a usual under Dyche defensive head about them. So I would be looking probably at Leipzig here as well. 1.78 for overs. Extremely good after 20 minutes. That's something we can hope for with Ipswich keeping Liverpool out for the first half as well. Any others? Well, Hoffenheim usually, but they've already got the goal before half time. Dortmund, not too sure. That's a bit of a late VAR. Yeah, that's a Manchester United VAR. Oh, I'm not too sure about that. The game's over anyway. London derby at 3 o'clock. Crystal Palace against West Ham. Can Crystal Palace find the goals that they were lacking against Brentford? They did get the equaliser, but they're missing Elise. Can they compensate and start scoring the 2 or 3 goals you expect under the new manager, as we saw at the back end of last season? Fulham and Leicester, newly promoted Leicester. How are they going to get on against Fulham? Well, this should be a rout. Should be 3 or 4 goals from Manchester City, including goals before half-time. So, again, if we can get that delay, just that wait for 15, 20 minutes. You saw how impactful it was with Leipzig, doubling the odds for over 2.5 goals in a market where the market makers expect 2.5 goals or more. Southampton Forest, don't have a strong opinion there. Tottenham and Everton, again, if you base it purely on the market, there's an expectation of goals there as well. So we'll look on that with interest. It's a new avenue for me. This Football Form Labs It's about 30 quid a month, but I'm just doing the 15-day trial just to see if it's going to do anything. It's probably too early in the season. They're getting all of their trends from last season, which might not be translatable really this early on to accuracy. But let's see. So I'll just try this one out. See if I can get in. Right, so the game notes are again another avenue into over 2.5 goals here. If you're taken by the arguments for it, so we've got Greuther Fürth and Paderborn, that's already a 1-1, wasn't it, earlier on? Hertha Berlin, Young and Regensburg, it did turn into overs with that red card for Jan Regensburg. Crewe, this is at 12, so Crewe and Swindon, we can check the scoreline. 0-0, so over 2.5 goals and 10 out of 15 Crewe home matches, but this is all last season. That's what I don't like about this.
Bohemians 1905 FK Jablonec is 1-2.
Okay. Tranmere and Walsall. And again, a 1-0. So you've got to be very cautious this early part of the season with that. The only reason this got, I think, just 2 goals for Hertha was down to the red card. So I would be very cautious so early on with the over 2.5 goals. But it couldn't give you a short list to work off. And if you can delay and have an exit point, that's the key, isn't it, to success. It's trying to find an exit point. So I'll keep this live logic on just to see how accurate or otherwise it is. It changes dynamics with each goal and with each time period. So you'll see it in red when it lights up, and we'll see whether we can get anything out of this. For example, there have been under 2.5 goals in 55% away matches against the bottom 6 since 2019. But of course, there's been multiple team changes since then, managerial changes, etc. So I'm not sure if that's translatable. We can bring that in. Jablonec against Bohemians, 2.35 the favourites. So take that one off the watch list, I think. Lorient and Grenoble, it's 0-0 at half time. So again, let's try the game notes first. Try this one first. What does this one say? Grenoble and Lorient. This is a French Ligue 2 match. Both teams have scored in 23% of home matches for Lorient against middle third teams since 2019-2020. Grenoble have lost 4 of the last 5 away matches against relegated sides. That's relegated. Lorient relegated from French Ligue 1. That's probably why they're strong favourites today. As you can see, 1.42. And you can confirm whether they've been promoted or relegated by going to the head-to-heads here and working backwards. Ligue 1, as you can see. So an obvious bias towards Lorient here. How did these two get on initially? Well, I wonder if this can help me at all. Let's go to the game notes. In the leagues, French Ligue 2. Lorient and Grenoble, relegated teams, have scored first in 55% of home matches against middle third teams, while Grenoble have lost 9 out of 12 away matches against relegated teams. So the bias second half is purely with Lorient, you'd argue, wouldn't it? Wouldn't you? And logic would suggest as well possibility of laying that draw second half. So we're 25 minutes in Bundesliga. Let's just check out the form for Lorient and Grenoble so far. Obvious, as I keep telling you, focus on newly relegated sides to dominate the lower tier, newly promoted sides to potentially struggle. Now, Lorient played a newly promoted side in Martigues, getting a 61st minute winner from the superbly named Bamba Dieng. And Grenoble beat Laval 2-1, all second half goals. So there is a hint or a possibility. Oh, that's the 2.5 goal thing. So this will be an interesting way, or an interesting showpiece for you about decision making. Do we do what we do with the laying the draw when it's not going our way? Get out with a third of liability as loss. That way you've bought some time for there to be a goal scored. Or do we get out at the specific time period? So this will be interesting to find out, this over 2.5 goals here. So Lorient, let's have a look at how that looks second half. We're expecting goals. There's been goals, but we've only got one match to work off. That's the problem. That was the problem with Millwall earlier on. Only 2 matches to work off. And you saw a sudden overreaction defensively from Millwall to conceding 2+ goals despite scoring 2+ goals. So we've got the draw at 3.1 here for the second half. If Lorient score, the draws are highly likely to rise to about 8 or 9. So we'll look on this one with interest as the second half progresses. It does suggest, if the in-play stats are with us, well, they're not really. No shots on target for Lorient just yet. A good defensive display from Grenoble so far. But can they survive? So let's have a look through. Jutland coming up at 3 o'clock. Well worth following. A bit of a stuffed nose, I'm afraid. I think it's from the... could be an allergy from the cat you can hear in the background. He's a stray. He's just decided to stay in the house. But he's well behaved. Big fan of football as well. So coming up, we've got a lot. The odds-ons are all figured out here. Let's make sure that I can hear. And if you hear any purring, that means we've got a good... There we go. Wrecking the furniture. So I've got this on. This will alert me to any odds-on favourite goal in an odds-on favourite match. Got 1.91 here. The reason I got this one starred is to look for the over 2.5 goal angle. So get yourself a shortlist. Werder Bremen, Hoffenheim, for example. Sides where you see goals before half-time. They're obvious look at 2.5 goals. We can go to the Malmo match, for example, and see the impact on over 2.5 goals of that single goal. Yes, mate. I'm doing a live chat at the moment. Okay. Yeah. So you might get some analysis from the cat. Yeah. Okay. So let's just have a look. 2.5 goals. How impactful was that goal? This is the trade you're after, isn't it? So a bit of delaying. Not as superb as in the Leipzig match, doubling up the odds. But then this is the single goal. This is your ideal entry point, of course. You probably won't get in at the very top. So he hit 1.6 on a couple of occasions and started rising at 0-0. The single goal produced a nice move down. Now, when you get an early gift like that, do you cash out straight away? Do you take the back to lay trade because it's drifted now? Do you get involved again at the top here and look for another drift down? If you get an early second half goal, that will move the odds down even further. And we've got to factor in, of course, this weekend in particular. Just check out the Champions League sides, particularly if they're playing away from home like Malmo. Because any results that don't go our way, probably down to upcoming Champions League football. So, 27th, we've got Galatasaray, Young Boys, Sparta Prague, Malmo. There you go. So, that could be something you factor in to an over 2.5 goal play if they're involved in the Champions League, because Malmo will take a 0-1, won't they? Salzburg and Kiev. So those are the sides to watch out for potential slip-ups today. And that's the odds-on favourites you can hear. So that's an early goal from Queen's Park against Adrionians. Karabag, Dinamo Zagreb.
Lorient Grenoble is 1-0.
And there we go. There's a Lorient goal against Grenoble. So if you did lay the draw second half, sorry I wasn't ultra confident, but it was a good call. And the right team scored first. So let's have a look at the impact. If I can spell Lorient correctly. Emma Pussycat. Yeah. So those are the odds-on favourite goals coming in. So I would expect this to go up to 6s or 8s. So wait for this to tidy itself up. And if you did lay the draw, well done. Newly promoted sides, newly relegated sides, the two key sides. So that was kudos to the live logic here. So Leipzig being 3.5 goals in 7 of the last 20 home matches. Again, that's all based on last season, isn't it? Bochum have drawn 4 of the last 8 away matches against top 6. That's pretty compelling, isn't it, as well? Derby County, there's been a goal. I've got... and I think it's gone to Derby against Watford. So that's not a big surprise. And you can hear the odds-on favourites again. Let's just check which of these two sides is odds-on favourite. Highly likely it's going to be Derby. And we've got a potential angle in. No, it's not. It's Watford. So that's going to go on the watch list there. Yes, Pussycat. Yeah. So Watford and Derby, we've got a potential play there. Now, at this early stage of the season, I'm going to have to wait for the in-play stats to do something. And we've got a potential play here with Pompey against Middlesbrough. I think this is... Let's just check with Pompey. Again, we just want to check, are they newly promoted? Indeed, from League One to the Championship. So they should be vulnerable, Pompey. Certainly a match of interest. The market was strongly in the favour of Middlesbrough. Such an early goal. This could be a good example to you, to show you a real both teams to score no match. Both teams to score no covers the 0-2. There we go. How about that? Just wait for this to... it's a bit illiquid, so you're going to have to take what's on offer. And I think 9.2 is very good indeed. So what I would do with this one, to cover the 0-2, I've got another idea for covering the 0-2 as well. And we've got a Sondersky goal against Midtjylland as well. 4th minute goal. Whenever you get an early goal as well, you've also got the half-time market to think about. So looking to win the amount of money you want to play with. So that would leave that at a very low insurance premium, so to speak.
Goal. Midtjylland Zondergeest is 0-1.
And we'll get Midtjylland up as well, because they are usually... We've got a lot of odds on goals, as you can hear in the background. That's the distinguishing noise for odds on goals. The other ping you'll hear is just all goals coming in. So it's getting a bit keen there. Let's go back to my rather than live. And that's it. We've got an Exeter scored against Peterborough. I think I should look at that one as well. So we're looking at Midtjylland next. Potential for Midtjylland, but we've got both teams to score no. Here, that covers the 0-2 for Portsmouth. Newly promoted, could be vulnerable, couldn't they? Middlesbrough, for me, they have a really good, I think, defensive mentality. And now we're just going to back the 1-2. If you fancy it, you don't have to back 1-2. Because if you go 0-2 down and they make it 1-2 early enough, that's enough to get you out. So this is the ideal opportunity for you to cover the 0-2 and the 1-2. Early initial goals. So that's been placed. Total insurance premium is now £7. What does that cover? That covers the 0-1, of course, doesn't it? Covers 0-2. Covers 1-2 for Portsmouth. And now you go to the match odds. And it's still odds on favourite for Middlesbrough, which is Not what we want. We're looking at ideally evens or higher. You're not going to get much fun out of this early on. So it does open the door up to a half-time play instead. So you go back and lay. As you can see, the profit's going to be very skinny indeed relative to the insurance premium. So it does open the door up to a half-time play if you fancy Middlesbrough. 1-1, 2-1, and any unquoted. Just wait for this to flesh out a little bit. Midtjylland will get on the watch list as well. An early concession for them against Sonderskjær, who did beat Randers last match, but notably lost to Copenhagen. And they've lost to free-scoring AGF Aarhus. Well worth following. They scored 4 goals yesterday again. Odense, Aarhus, 2 Danish sides I think you should be following this season, particularly if you've got an over 2.5 goal bent. Look at the both teams to score angle from Midtjylland, albeit 2 of them were in the Champions League. But they do tend to score and concede. They don't tend to concede that second goal apart from in that friendly against Sonder. And the last time these two played in 2021, it was a 3-2. And already Peterborough have equalised. What a pity. I didn't manage to check that one out early enough. Dumbarton and Arbroath, highly unlikely to be liquid enough. Hoff and I have made it 2-0 already, so stick Hoff on your watch list for over 2.5 goals this season. This is the perfect scoreline for over 2.5 goals. I'll just show you the impact, and you can be out. So I think the key to success with over 2.5 goals will be looking at these price graphs and showing you the importance to over 2.5 goals of at least a goal before half time. As you can see, you'd be out by now, wouldn't you? So you'd start off at 1.5, no real delay. Didn't impact the odds at all. And it's all relative, I suppose. If the over 2.5 goals is so short, then the drop will be significant as well. And it's notable how quickly it climbed back to its pre-match status and then dropped down again. A little bit lower, but you'd be out. I would be comfortable to be out there, but a bit skinny. So we've got to do a bit of that delaying like we did with Leipzig. That will just get you a little bit better odds. So we've got the Lorient goal. Get rid of that one. And Ipswich Town have scored first against Manchester City. That is a real strong angle, but again, only 8 minutes in. So there's very little value to be had in this match. You might have to sit on your hands, alas, or play the half-time markets. So I'll just tidy this up. As you can hear, the cat has something to say about Ipswich. So let's work our way down, just have a quick catch-up, and then we'll just shortlist some matches of interest early on. I would expect a Midtjylland equaliser. Yeah, the cat's very excited with that Ipswich opening goal. Yeah. Oh. Huddersfield, I'll keep an eye on them against the Shrews. So we've got some potentials here. Tottenham starting brightly against Everton. 2 shots on, 1 off and 3 corners. Remember, 1.38. We're really expecting at least a goal before half-time. Man City and Ipswich. Again, your only real avenue, value-wise, is to go into the half-time market. So I wonder in the future if we can do over 3.5 goals with these shorties, because that's what we're expecting. And this is why I don't tend to play these goals markets. I don't have a strong angle in. When do I get involved?
It's been suspended.
When do I get out? This would be over 3.5 goals, which is pretty good odds for a 1.08 shot at home. And there's the Middlesbrough equaliser already. I'm sorry I didn't get that to you quickly enough. But that would have been a strong play. So Man City, we're looking at the half-time market here. We have to. Match odds is ridiculous. So just wait for this to open up. Half-time score. We've got to wait for this to flesh out, I'm afraid. Oh, wants the door open. Okay. Yeah. Okay, mate. Yeah. There you go. All right.
Goal. Middlesbrough Portsmouth is 1-1.
Right, so having missed Middlesbrough, let's get on to Midland, I think. As you can see, really strong reaction from Midland. So Man City will have to wait. Half-time market is the only real value in here. It's one of those matches you just have to leave alone until it presents you with a good opportunity. I'm really a bit upset that I missed the Middlesbrough equaliser. So the usual route, laying over 1.5 goals. Prefer 1.04, but we can't sit and wait with the clock ticking. And if the +1 is reasonable enough, I will stay there. Hopefully they're in a good mood. The in-play stats suggest they're in a good mood. +1, about 1.6, 1.51. So it's a bit skinny, as you can see here. This will be your return. Be about 20 quid minus £2 here. So insurance is very good in this one. Must take it out. It's only a £2 liability. So that's reasonable enough. But match odds is probably where you'll get your greater value. So it's either or. Either or. You either go match odds or you go +1. I tend to stay with the +1 if the odds are big enough. So you'll be laying Sonder. And hopefully we get a Midland goal before half-time. Do note the delay, 12-second delay. So I just suggest you have to take a bit of action. And Malmo, well, pre-Champions League, pre-European club competition, and they've conceded another goal. So I'll just pass this on to Telegrammers. Live chat webinar at the moment, so there won't be any screenshots. I think Midland against Sonder in the Danish Super League. If you look under MIDTJYLLAND. Midland. They've conceded the first goal. Good response from them. And another quick response from Man City there. But we couldn't play that. There was no value at all. Laying over 1.5 goals at 1.05 must be done. Very, very cheap. I've decided to go match odds here. Half stake back Midland. Half stake as liability.
Man City Ipswich is 1-1.
Lay Sonder. And if you use Betfair's search facility, search SONDER, Sonder. That should bring you the match. I'm afraid. I think that's the equaliser. I'm not sure. But it hasn't impacted on the market just yet. It's come up on Football 24 as an equaliser, but I don't think it is. No, it's been disallowed, but it's a good sign.
This market has been suspended.
I hope you got on quickly enough.
Midtjylland Zonderjysk is 1-1.
And Tottenham has scored before half-time again. So we're trying to formulate this over 2.5 goal plan. We've got a number of avenues in.
Goal. Tottenham Everton is 1-0.
The first avenue is the odds. You look at Man City, for example, over 3.5 goals. So if you're looking at anything under 1.2, you'd be looking over 3.5 goals. If you can get 1.8. Over 1.3, you'll probably be heading to over 2.5 goals if you can get decent odds. And Tottenham with a 15th minute goal. Let's see how impactful that would have been. So I hope you played Midland. We have to be very quick today. Look at the response from Manchester City, but nothing to do. Nothing compelling. Look at this. Everton are in a spot of bother, I think, this season. They're going to be ravaged. It's poor stuff. Man City, well, there's no angles in apart from 3-1, any other home score. Always wanted to back Man City in a half-time market, of course. We're expecting a goal before half-time, but as you saw, there was absolutely no value to be had in the half-time market, which was a pity. Absolutely no value. Sometimes you just have to say there's absolutely nothing I can do about this one. And there we go. It's 2-1 already.
Man
So,
City Ipswich is 2-1.
had it fleshed out a bit, that's where I would have gone. 2-1, any other home score. But as you can see, this was what we were faced with, wasn't it? And this is just somebody's odds they've put up, waiting in the queue. It's the same person putting up all of these odds, as you can see here. All uniform. And there's just no market forces. Half-time was the market to play for Man City. What a pity. I do hope, though, that you got on Midland, and I really hope that one or two of you saw what I was talking about, Middlesbrough and Pompey, and you got involved there. I don't know if we got involved with Middlesbrough.
This market has been suspended.
So this is what you expect of Man City, isn't it? Oh, we did get involved with Middlesbrough. Excellent stuff. Yeah, this was one of those where the odds weren't very good. And over 3.5 goals is in already for Man City. How about that for a 1.8? So I'll try to get some rules for you.
Goal.
Specific
Man City
teams,
Ipswich is 3-1.
specific leagues, specific odds. Those, I think, are your three key ingredients for over 2.5 goals. Teams you know, and don't forget teams who can score before half-time. So those will be your keys for over 2.5 goals. Well done to Man City, 3-1. That's where we probably going to be headed if it was liquid enough, wasn't it? 3-0, 3-1. Sorry, 2-1. Any unquoted in the half-time score market. So far too efficient today. That's a 1.09 and it's in the bag already. So remember that. Fulham have scored first against Leicester City. That might not be over. It's all about Leicester's response. But I do fear for Everton this season. Well done to Mutland. A nice, quick equaliser. I really hope you got on. And that's the advantage of attending the live chat rather than waiting for me to pass it on Telegram, particularly on a busy Saturday and Sunday. So we can get rid of that one. We were looking for that equaliser for Borough. Highly likely they'll be targeting the win there, but it's very skinny again. Don't forget, early goals, 3rd or 4th minute goals. The half-time market is alive, isn't it, for you? Derby were actually favourite, so no, they weren't. So we will monitor this one. And already Bodo Glimt have scored, so that's another example to you of an over 2.5 goal team based on the odds, 1.4 pre-match. So I think my goal this season will be to formulate this over 2.5 goal plan so we can have a plan of action with a set of rules for entry and exit. Let's have a look at a 1.4 favourite. How big were the odds pre-match? Very skinny indeed, weren't they? So you've got no option but to delay for these 1.4 favourites or shorter and hope they score before half-time, which indeed Bodo have, but it hasn't impacted here because there's only £2 matched. So it's a really busy day. A lot of the favourites are scoring first, but we've already had Mutland in, we've already had the likes of Middlesbrough equalising, and Rangers have already scored first. Again, another shorty, 1.19. So they could open the door up to an over 3.5 goal play there. Anywhere where you get around evens, or 1.8, I think, would be a good starting point, wouldn't it? So busy, busy, busy. I just hope you're getting on. Bohemians, look at them, are coming late into the match. 74 attacking pressure index. 82nd minute shot on target. 80th, 82nd, 84th shot off. And an 82nd minute corner. So they are going for the equaliser late on. We can break to have a look at the odds. Make sure you lay short because the clock is not our friend, is it?
Goal. Huddersfield Shrewsbury is 1-0.
Yeah, that's another odds-on favourite, Huddersfield. We should have been alerted to that one here, but they've decided not to talk to me. And Kalmar make it 2-1 against Malmo. This could be the Champions League distraction for Malmo. I wonder if they've rested a number of their stars. Look at this as well, a penalty opener. So this is what I keep talking to you about, these sides who keep struggling pre-Champions League. Maybe it's just that important that I wonder if the managers rest any first teamers here, because this is not what you expect. But it might offer us a potential angle in, but we do know in the back of our minds that Malmo might not be up for it today. I hope you can still see and hear me okay. It's all West Ham so far, says Robert, against Crystal Palace. Are they going to rue selling Olise? For me, I would have kept that first 11 that played under the manager at Palace at the back end of last season. He got them scoring 2-3 plus goals readily.
Goal. Huddersfield Shrewsbury is 1-0.
I think we can get rid of that now. Odds on Fav. Norwich have scored first against Sheffield United. Let's bring up the Swedish Allsvenskan. So let's find that one somewhere, unless I've got rid of the match already. Here it is. Can we rely on Malmo pre-Champions League? This is the major problem.
This market has been
This is the major problem we have. They are away at Sparta Prague. And it's 2-0 to Lorient already, so they might be finding this French League 2 to their liking. Stick them in your notebook for French League 2, and you already know how to quickly check newly promoted, newly relegated. We did get those wonderful spreadsheets from Paul Dunwoody last season. They were excellent. But we've got a quick way of looking using soccer24.com, and that can help you suss out things like Lorient and Grenoble, particularly when it's 0-0 at half-time. So it's 2-0 to Sparta Prague from the first leg against Malmo. No wonder Malmo are distracted today. No wonder. They've got to score the first 2 goals in the next Champions League match away. Away, I think. Away at Sparta Prague. So they're in all sorts of bother. That's why they're getting distracted by Kalmar. Ordinarily, they should be beating Kalmar. But we do have to factor this in. Pre and post Champions League. But I'll keep an eye out. If they start waking up, Malmo, we might be able to capture a potential late equaliser. I don't know why Kalmar's in-play stats are not showing shots on or off target. They've scored 2 goals, and they haven't been own goals. Midtjylland, potential for that draw to end at some point. And we're just looking to see whether Watford deserve their odds-on status here against Derby County. So let's just take a look through some other matches of interest and any odds-on matches. Lorient Grenoble. We can get rid of Man City already. Absolutely emphatic from them. There's the Leverkusen from yesterday. The perfect trading side, basically. You'll make money if you just follow them all season, particularly if they're in trouble. So get rid of a few of these. Got into the 2 Milans later on. Newly promoted Parma. And Inter are taking on Lecce. Must win for Inter, having
this
dropped
market
points
has been
in their opener. Red card for Partick Thistle against Falkirk. Wonder if it's going to be liquid enough to play. Bohemians 1905 and Pompey have made it 1-2. So, wow, that could be another one. Potentially take on Pompey. Newly promoted. Very rare that Borough will be conceding 2 goals at home. And it's 2-0 for Tottenham. So the market looks very good for these over 2.5 goals for these odds-on favourites today, doesn't it? That would be superb if you played over 2.5 goals there. So let's just work our way through. any matches of interest. We'll keep an eye on Blackburn. They're starting to light up. And this will certainly get another look in as well. Let's have a look at the second goal for Portsmouth. Was it an own goal? Was it a penalty? Was it a goal from open play? Well, it's Sadie, so he's the big difference here. Possibilities of taking them on. It was a good reaction from Middlesbrough initially. A very quick reaction, but we will see. 22 dangerous attacks to 1, so they should be the dominant force here. They don't tend to concede that many at home, so we'll be looking at that. I don't know whether we can trust Malmo today, pre-Champions League. We'll have to wait on that.
Middlesbrough Portsmouth is 1-2.
Yeah, 1-2. So let's have a look through and just highlight any matches of interest here. See if we can spot anything early doors. Well, Rotherham, a good reaction early on, but 2.75 the favourite match, not that greatly appealing. Charlton and Bolton, well, this looks really good for Bolton, doesn't it? 2 shots on 6 off on a corner. Keep an eye on them. But don't forget, last week tended to lose getting involved in English League 2 in particular. So we just have to get a compelling reason to get involved in these lower tiers. I don't like them. They're not that reliable. Colchester, really dominant against Harrogate. Normally when you see this kind of dominance, you'll be looking at a breakthrough before half-time if you fancy it for Colchester. Bradford against Bromley. Wimbledon against Cheltenham. Nothing doing there just yet. Chesterfield against Salford. Pre-match favourites looking deserving of that favouritism as well, as you can see, but mostly secondary stats there. 3 shots off and 4 corners. Crystal Palace and West Ham. London derby, don't forget. New manager for West Ham as well. Makes that one very difficult to unpack. Looks like Fulham are dominating against Leicester City. 4 shots on 5 off the corner and already that opening goal. We can get rid of Man City. Job done already. Leicester and Liverpool. And don't forget the Premier League under-21s, as you can see already, over 2.5 goals. So you've got your leagues, you've got your specific teams like the Hoff with reputations for goal before half-time. And you've got your specific leagues, which I've said here. Premier League 2, Professional Development League, any of the Dutch leagues. And some of the teams like Ekenes concede heavily, as they did last week. Ulu and Haka, 2.5 the favourite, but a good response from Ulu. We'll keep an eye on that one. And there's our old pals Lorient, already 2-0 up. So they're ones to follow. Bundesliga, half-time, Mainz and Union Berlin. We don't have anything to work off, apart from the in-play stats. Freiburg and Stuttgart. Again, not much to work off. Leipzig, potential to lay that draw at some point. This is not what we expect from Leipzig, is it? So we'll have a look at Leipzig against Bochum. The draw is at 4.2. The only alternative you have in odds like this is to keep the faith. 3-0, 3-1, any other home score. Now, just check. I don't think Leipzig have upcoming Champions League football. You can check individually teams' upcoming fixtures at uk.soccerway.com. So we go down. Who will we be checking out? Leipzig, weren't we? Is there any reason for this underperformance? They've sold some key players to some big boys as well. That could be a reason. So Leipzig don't have any upcoming Champions League football. No excuses. So if you wanted to speculate in this Leipzig match, you could top up over 2.5 goals. 3.2.
Goal. Watford Derby is 1-1.
And that's a Watford equaliser as well. I wasn't seeing the reaction, but they were odds on favourites. So if you wanted to automatically play your odds on favourites, well, I suppose with that, it just pays to keep an eye on the stats, doesn't it? Missed opportunity there. But anything in this shortlist, I would mention to you to keep an eye on if I go off on a tangent. Okay? Anything on the watch list is important. So that's a Stoke goal. We were looking at Leipzig. No upcoming fixtures. Now, if you can trust the pre-match odds for Leipzig, if you can trust the pre-match odds, you can get yourselves let's have a look. 3-0, 3-1, any other home scoreline. What you'd normally do this season when you've got a 1.25 favourite at 0-0 at half-time. 3-0, 3-1, any other home win. You can set yourself an available stake. I'll give you a uniform profit, in fact, which is interesting, isn't it? For a £20 stake. 3-0, 3-1, any other home score, required profit, or a variable profit Dutching. Stake available would be interesting in this particular case, I think. Now we're doing that as a potential trade. So Midtjylland is now 1-2 against
This market has
Sonder
been suspended.
after the 33rd minute. So greening up is paying today
Goal.
with
Midtjylland Zondergeesk is 1-2.
with that second goal for them and the second goal for Portsmouth as well. So cashing out at the equaliser is profiting today. So we can have a look at Midtjylland and Sonder. I still think there's plenty to be going around with that one. There it is there. Just have a look at the Sonder goal. Was it deserved? Well, we don't know what kind of a goal it was just yet, so we'll just wait, see whether it was an own goal or anything like that. Because Midtjylland's 5 shots on 2 off and 3 corners, but dangerous attacks,
Goal.
Notably,
Midtjylland
equal,
Zondergeesk is 1-2.
aren't they? Very notably equal. So we can take that one off. So some surprises today, but this one you know, Champions League football. That's why we're getting this upset here. Midtjylland, I'm not sure if they have European football upcoming. You can check. Control and F. Midtjylland and Sonder. And there we go. Yes. Champions League or Conference League. Champions League against Slovan Bratislava. Wow. So this is what we call a sandwich weekend for some of these sides. Now we're in a bit of a quandary. Obviously distracted with the Champions League upcoming.
Goal.
In a sandwich weekend.
Kalmar FF Malmo FF is 2-2.
So that's another one we've just got to pay attention to. Champions League sides. Malmo, Midtjylland. Malmo have made it 2-2. So there is possibilities here for them to get a late winner. They look like they're up for it today. Made it 2-2. It's very difficult, isn't it, to decide whether you want to stick or twist with these Champions League sides. Colchester, well, if they don't score first half, are they going to score second half? They're absolutely bossing this match, 1.75 pre-match favourites. Normally, you could consider a goal before half-time. The later the better, of course, because you get better odds. This is one-way traffic for Colchester, isn't it? Midtjylland, are they going to do what Malmo did and get themselves out of jail? We'll keep an eye on that one. There's plenty of time left for Midtjylland. But again, are they distracted? Because they've got a second leg coming up in the Champions League. The managers have to do something. Sometimes they will rest the stars and then you'll get that underperformance. And well, Karabag, usual strong favourites, but guess what, ladies and gentlemen? I think we saw Karabag here or here against Dinamo Zagreb. So another underperformance from a European side. Norwich and Sheffield United. Sheffield United newly relegated, as indeed were Norwich, weren't they? So an interesting fixture, but it's dominated by the Blades so far. 2 shots on, 6 off and 4 corners. Do you expect that draw to end? Second half, not much to work with. Both teams had a draw in the last match. Was this a championship match? Not too sure. This isn't working. So let's just work our way through. Anything catch the eye as we're heading to half times? Exeter, Peterborough. Well, Wimbledon dominating against Cheltenham, as you can see there. Purely in-play stats. Milton Keynes Dons already 2-0 up against Carlisle. Pre-match 1.75 favourites, so really bringing home the win. Above expectations there. And Tottenham against Everton. There's some real problems ahead for Everton. 2 heavy defeats already this season. Southampton against Nottingham Forest. Possibility of a goal second half. It's been dominated early on by Forest against newly promoted Saints. In a 2.5 the favourite match. 4 shots on, 6 off and 7 corners. We want to see some of the familiar names up front for Nottingham Forest. Awoniyi would be one in particular, wouldn't he? So let's have a look at that one. And a Fulham equaliser against Luton. Chris Wood, decent forward line. Gibbs White, Hudson-Odoi and Elanga. That's a really strong front 4, isn't it? On a subs bench, Awoniyi is there. He can always get you a late goal. Bowley. So it's an improved Forest side. Possibility of laying that draw second half, I would target that. So that would be one for the notebook, as indeed with this for the potential lay of the draw second half. Similar stories, Saints and Forest. Although only one match into the season, it's very hard to trust anything because we don't have any patterns to work off. We're going to hide that one. Hide that. And Ekenes, another side to stick on your over 2.5 goal watch list, i.e. conceding heavily. Mainz and Union Berlin, opening match of the season. Second half is beginning. We can look at last season, or we can look at what this says. So we'll go to German Bundesliga. Look at the 0-0s at half time. Based on last season, though, because it's the opening match, of course. Preston North End have scored against newly relegated Luton Town. So I wonder if Luton are going to be up for this one. We'll keep an eye on that. Leipzig and Bochum. There have been no goals in 3 of the last 7 Leipzig home matches against bottom 6 sides. Wow. That's just changed. There have been over 1.5 goals in 4 of the last 7 Leipzig home matches against bottom 6 side. Hoffenheim, well, 2-0 up already. Freiburg and Stuttgart is 1-1, but it's Cottbus and Aachen. That's in the other league. We're looking at Mainz and Union Berlin. Both teams have scored in 2 of the last 5 Mainz home matches against bottom 6. Union Berlin have lost the second half in 6 of the last 10 away matches. So the suggestion or the inference there is for goals, second half. So we'll keep an eye on that one. And indeed, Leipzig and Bochum, if the draw odds are short enough, you should be able to lay the draw. Or you can go this route. It's up to you. But don't forget, we are in guesswork mode at this stage of the season. So please remember that. There's nothing to work off. The draw odds are getting shorter and shorter. I would target 3.5 or lower. Try to get to a lay of the draw. So we'll check that out there. Now we've got an alternative to looking for an equaliser, and that could be to lay the scoreline. That would certainly cover any 0-2s. So let's experiment with that with Middlesbrough and Portsmouth. How short is that 1-2? And can it be laid? Middlesbrough and Pompey. Instead of trusting Middlesbrough, now the scoreline's far too high, isn't it? At 12s. So that's we can't play that one. But this is the insurance play, wasn't it? Using both teams to score no. So we've got the 1-2 working for us. So if Middlesbrough can make it 2-2, that will bring this back into the equation. And what you can do, you can always average up by just topping up a little bit more. It'll cost you a little bit more in liability. So, for example, just top up on the back of Borough, and it increases the loss on the draw. But if Middlesbrough equalise, you're going to be nearer to break even because you've topped up at higher odds. It's called averaging. The only negative element with it is your liability increases. But if you get a 2-2, you're going to get a better green screen. So I would consider that element. Kalmar and Malmo. Does Malmo have a late winner in them? Can you trust them? It is pre-Champions League Malmo. Mainz and Union Berlin. Well, there's possibilities of that draw ending, but we've got nothing to work off at all.
Mainz Union
and there it
Berlin
is.
1-0.
Well, there's the Mainz goal against Union Berlin. Job done there if you did lay the draw. Fulham and Leicester, equaliser for Leicester. Come into this after an early dominant display from Fulham. 3 shots on 2 off 3 corners. Really good reaction. Ulu, possibility of them equalising against Hacker, if this is accurate. Colchester, if not first half, highly likely. Second half, English League 2, Colchester. Just have a look at their matches already this season. Utterly dominant here. So 2-0 win in their opener. In their last match. Scored 2 goals against Wimbledon without winning away in their opener. They're playing Harrogate, who drew 3-3 with Accrington Stanley and lost 2-0 against Bromley. So there's some interesting concessions from the away side. So this is certainly one.
Blackburn Oxford UTD is 0-1.
If it's 0-0 at half time. So we'll get Colchester up. We're expecting goals to be conceded. I like to see 3.5 or lower. The draw odds pretty decent there. Wow. Quite appealing. If we get to 0-0 at half time, they should just drop a little bit more. That's pretty good, isn't it? It's suspiciously
UTD is 0-1.
Suspiciously low for such dominance from Colchester. Does the market know something we don't? Kalmar and Malmo. Well, it's up to you if you trust it or not. You already know the story. Pre-Champions League. We can get rid of this one. Fulham and Leicester. Ulu. Well, knocking on the door of an equaliser. Colchester, as you can see, those draw odds do look very compelling with this kind of stat. And indeed, the second half, or the conceding of goals in the opening 2 matches by Harrogate. I know they could overreact like Millwall did earlier on. Keep a clean sheet. That's always a negative. I think we can look at a possibility of a Midtjylland equaliser yet again against Sonder. if the in-play stats are accurate. But don't forget, I think Midland involved in Europe yet again. So we'll have a look at this one. I went match odds, didn't I? Well, you had the +1 and you've got the match odds. So this is another one where you could top up. You could lay over, I think it's 3.5 goals because it's 2-1. So you're expecting goals. So you can take your insurance premium out again. If you trusted Midland's in-play stats. Over 3.5 goals. Over 3.5 goals because it is 2-1 currently. So that's that. And then you can top up again if you fancied it. Either the +1, and that's becoming appealing. So you either go this route, top up again. So you've got the averaging working for you. If we get that 2-2, you're going to get an even better return. Or you could top up match odds again at even better odds. But you are playing with fire with these pre-European club competition sides. So please remember that.
Goal. Blackburn Oxford UTD is 1-1.
There is a reason why they underperform at this stage of the season. So you could back Midland and lay Sonder. And just leave it as it is. Hopefully they'll score the next goal. You haven't got the full amount covered. You've only got £40 of that covered, so please do remember that. You could always up this because it's so short, isn't it? To another 40. Like that. It's going to cost you nothing. That way you've got the whole amount covered. 1.12, the suggestion of goals, of course, from the market makers. Werder Bremen is 2-2, so they're another over 2.5 goal side, aren't they? Rangers 2-0. Again, 2 goals before half time, but you're going to get very skinny over 2.5 goals. When you've got a 1.18 shot, probably better to go over 3.5 goals. So I hope you followed the thinking there. Just top up, and this is getting to 102 quid now, but you've got this covered. If we can get a quick 2-2, and there's the first goal from Leipzig. Up and running. How has that impacted on the correct score market? Well, the correct score market tends to flush out and then rebuild, as you can see here. So you're going to have to wait for it to tighten up. We're not going to get any realistic profit figures just yet. But that's the first goal, 59th minute, perfectly timed. And we just need a goal every 15 minutes now to make the 3-0, and that would be excellent. Lay the draw, of course, was an obvious singular play there. If you would have got that 3.75 about the draw odds there. Look at the rise. So it's all relative. If you lay the draw second half, you can get out at double. At a low of 3s, zoom to double figures. Excellent lay to back. So it's up to you how you play these shorties. You can either lay the draw or you can go for a more exotic correct score play, get a decent return. So you're making a slight green at the moment. 3-0, 3-1, any other home score. Of course, 3-1, I think we could do with that goal from Bochum to make it 1-1, because that will alert, that will bring them alive. You'll have 3-1 and any other home win. As you can see, you're making a slight green here for that £20 return. Don't forget, risk and reward is all relative to the amount you've risked. So that's pretty good. It's an alternative to laying the draw. 92nd minute, I think Malmo will come out of this unscathed. And it's a gentle reminder to you, European club competition sides will underperform. in their league match prior, generally speaking. So Colchester and Harrogate, the draw odds, very, very low indeed, aren't they? Can we trust it? Let's have a look. Can you trust this lower tier? We don't want another 0-0. What I tend to do is to lay the draw. We can have a look at some alternatives because it's 2.84 is very decent. But in these lower tiers, English League 2, don't forget, that's the one that causes us problems. You could always get out with a third of liability as loss. That is an option. Other options? Is there a correct score option? 1-0, 2-0, 2-1. That going to offer you some fun. 1-0 at 4.4, 2-0 at 9s, 2-1 at 16, just in case we get Harrogate scoring. So that could give you an option as well. So do have a look at the natural break at half time. I hope you can all still hear me.
This has been suspended.
So if I've got suspended, that's likely the end of the Malmo match. That's your first casualty of pre and post European club competition this season. Ulu and Haka. Well, an interesting response from Ulu against Haka. We're just waiting, or we're going to see whether Colchester's emphatic first half in play stats can carry on second half. Notably, Harrogate conceding heavily so far this season. Midtjylland look likely to equalise again, but again you're flirting with a pre-European side. Wimbledon, a bit like Colchester, can we trust them second half? Against Cheltenham, 5-1 Wimbledon win in the FA Cup in November. I'm not sure what that goal was. 3-1 to Freiburg, so poor old Stuttgart. And again, it's another great league for over 2.5 goals, isn't it? The German Bundesliga. Southampton Forest, do you trust a goal second half? It's particularly favouring Forest, isn't it? It's a very strong front line. Very strong front line. And Saints are newly promoted. Could be vulnerable. They might still have the dregs of that English Championship side without really improving markedly. And another over 2.5 goal match in the Hoff and Holston Kiel. I think are Holston Kiel newly promoted? So you can check the draw again here. Again, decent low odds. But it's the opening match of the season. So not the opening match, but the opening matches of the season. But it's all Nottingham Forest. But don't forget, 2.8 the favourite, and 3.65 for the underdog. The market's finding it hard to split. That's where in-play stats come in, isn't it? As you can see there. Nottingham Forest do deserve the opening goal in the second half. 1.52 attacking pressure index. 4 shots on 8 off 7 corners. And they've got a really good forward line. And they've got a Wonyi to come on as well to potentially save the day. So that's looking good. Just work our way through some of these other matches as we're getting to half time. We can hide that one. Hide that one. Teplice, I think, are involved in Europe. That's upcoming. Sparta Prague certainly are. I did hesitate last week, but they did oblige, didn't they? They got the win last week, coming from behind, and pre and post European club competition. So they did all right. Do you favour the Blades over Norwich? Secondary stats favour the Blades. Couple of draws in their last matches, these two. Let's have a look. Preston and Luton. So keep an eye on Luton because I like that. 7 shots off target, 7 corners to 1. Newly relegated as well. Are they going to find the lower tier far better? Are they going to get an equaliser? 7 shots off 7 corners is compelling. Pre-match odds, though, not too compelling. 2.38, suggesting they weren't strongly favoured by the market. But they are newly relegated. Could perform better in the lower tier. Let's have a look through any other that catch the eye. Crawley against Wigan. 1.95 pre-match, but I like that 6 off target. Let's have a look at any other matches. Well, already a 1-3 lead for Blackpool. Moving on down. Anything catch the eye as we begin the second half, which has got a whole load of other matches put in, so let's just scupper that a little bit. Let's just tidy this up. We're not going to be playing these. It's half time, so we've got nothing to worry about. SPL already job done for Rangers. So, interestingly, let's just see what odds over 3.5 goals were pre-match for Rangers. Over 3.5 goals. Was it 1.8 or thereabouts? Because if it was, well, it's even pretty good now, isn't it, with 2 goals scored. So, wow. That's the expectation of the short odds, isn't it? But pre-match, well, 2.25 for over 3.5 goals for a 1.18 shot. The initial goal went down to 1.75. The second goal went down to 1.5. So that's not too shabby. What was over 2.5 goals like for Rangers today, given they were such short price favourites? Must have been about 1.6. Yeah, indeed. 1.6 down to 1.2. So it is a successful back to lay trade. You've also got the option potentially of backing on that secondary one, just looking for that second goal after they've scored the first. So don't forget, we're talking about very, very short price favourites. 1.18, I think it was, 1.2. So I would tend towards over 3.5 goals with these 1.2s, and you're getting pretty decent odds of over evens. You'll have to decide whether you get out with that green because you're expecting at least a goal before half time. So have a think. All of this is going in the memory bank. Hopefully we can get ourselves a plan of action for 2.5 goal trading. I'm just going to do a summary for telegrammers, particularly with a potential lay the draws second half. So just a quick update on the half times. Live chat webinar on at the moment. If you want to follow it at YouTube, you'll see what I'm trying to mention to you. Colchester against Harrogate Town. 5 shots on target, 7 shots off target, 6 corners, 28 dangerous attacks for Colchester. It's 0-0 at half time. Do you trust those odds? Those stats. Given the fact they've also scored 2+ goals in each of the last 3 matches, and their opponents Harrogate have conceded 5 goals in their 2 English League 2 matches so far this season. The last one of them was a 0-0 at half time, ended in a 0-2 defeat for Harrogate. Potential for second half goals there. Do you fancy laying the draw? We don't have much to work with, only the 2 matches to come to our conclusions. Maitland against Sonder. It's 1-2 to Sonder. Maitland 6 shots on, 4 off and 5 corners. So in the live stream, I updated. I laid over 3.5 goals and I've gone in again in the match odds. But we have a warning. It's pre-European club competition for Maitland. That could see them underperform. Nottingham Forest are against Southampton, newly relegated Southampton. 4 shots on target, 8 off, 7 corners, 39 dangerous attacks for Nottingham Forest, 1.52. you fancy laying the draw in that particular match? Again, we're only into the second match of the season, so I don't have any background of stats to work off. Just got to recount to you the in-play stats. It looks compelling, doesn't it, for the potential of a Nottingham Forest opener second half. Middlesbrough and Portsmouth. Well, if you were at the live chat webinar, what I did was both teams to score no and a 1-2. So I got 1-2 backed because it's a third-minute opening goal for Portsmouth, which means both teams to score no is up. You could have backed it at 9.2. So if you can attend the live chat, please do. Those are the standout matches at the moment. A couple of lay the draws if you fancy them. I'm staying in. I think Middlesbrough could get a potential equaliser. I've topped up there as well. I call it averaging up or averaging down. So I'm looking for a Midland equaliser. Looking for a Middlesbrough equaliser, but I've got 1-2 covered. I'm looking for Colchester first half stats to suggest that they will score second half. Similar story, Nottingham Forest against Southampton as well. So lots of potential, but it's dangerous opening matches of the season that we might get some struggles or some unsuspecting results. So while it's quiet, just work through, get rid of some of these, tidy this up a little bit. So we're going to work down Sheffield United again. Potential there. I'll certainly stick this on the watch list. Sunderland are doing well against Burnley. Let's work our way through. Anything else catching the eye? Are there any unsuspecting leads? Well, I like Peterborough. So I'm not sure I would be laying them against Exeter. But to 9 shots off and 6 corners for Exeter is quite good stats. Elsewhere, right, I would have expected the Shrews to struggle. Accrington Stanley 1-1. That draw could be vulnerable second half if they can be as pressured as they were first half, as you can see there. One-way traffic, really, for Accrington Stanley. Augsburg did have a goal disallowed against Werder Bremen. It's a Desmond Tutu. So just look at that one, potential for that draw to end at some point, if you fancied that one. We'll get rid of that. MK Dons and Carlisle. Well, tight enough. Pre-match odds, 1.75. Got a lot of nil-nils as well. It's a difficult second half here as well. London Derby, don't forget. New manager as well for West Ham. It's a messy fixture to unpack. As is Lyon and Monaco, 2.38 the favourite. Very difficult to choose that one. Freiburg looking excellent, or Stuttgart looking poor. Leipzig have got the opening goal. Are they going to make it 3-0, 3-1 any other home? Or are they just going to take the win? Are Bochum set up very, very defensively today? Augsburg and Werder Bremen look for the possibility of that draw ending. And I think those are the main matches at the moment. So we're looking predominantly for second half goals. If we can get any, that would be excellent. So just bringing these to an end. Norwegian, that's Bodo Glimt. Again, pre-match odds, 1.27. You're expecting goals. So it's a real, there should be a real relationship between the pre-match odds and the expectation for goals. So that could be something, again, for you to look at for over 2.5 goals matches. So as I say, by the end of the season, I hope to have a template for you for over 2.5 goals and perhaps a staking plan or two to work with if you want to stay in to the death. Because as you saw with the English Professional Development League, when it had 100% over 2.5 goals, a few of those saw 3 goals or more second half. Falkirk against Partick, we've got a red card. So we'll keep an eye on that. I don't like the league, but we'll keep an eye on that. Potential to lay that draw second half if Falkirk can take advantage of the red. There's my old mates Clyde. This is what they should have done last week, but they didn't. Inconsistency is a problem with these lower leagues. Looking at the SPL, I'll bring that up. And we've run out of space here now, so I'll have to get rid of a few of these at some point. So let me just take that all the way to the left. So we're waiting really for second halves and goals to occur. There we go. My old pals Clyde have just been red carded. So that's a gentle reminder to you of the inconsistency of these lower tiers. 77th minute, Augsburg and Werder Bremen, 1.73 for the draw. Again, we've got nothing to work off. But we did get a disallowed goal from Augsburg a little bit earlier on. I wonder if that's going to give us an angle in to lay that draw. Can we trust Oulu against Hacker? Let's have a look what this says with the Veikkausliiga here. Oulu have drawn 3 of the last 7 home matches against top half teams. That's interesting, because the in-play stats are good, aren't they? Been under 2.5 goals in 58% of matches between home bottom 6 and away bottom half. So certainly Oulu's in-play stats suggest an equaliser. What does their seasonal form suggest? So let's have a look. Again, we've got the pop-up. In-play stats are with Oulu to get an equaliser, but how have they looked this season? Probably better to look at FC stats here, because it'll give you a challenge table. And the challenge table will give you the head-to-heads. So, Oulu. So we'll have to go here. So both of these sides at the wrong end of the table. So Oulu at home, pretty good. Lost to 3rd, 4th and 6th. I think they're playing 5th today. They lost 4-3 to. So they did score and concede against them. They haven't scored that second goal against any top 8 side at home. Can they equalise? They have beaten 1st and 2nd as well, so they should be feeling fairly confident, but can they keep Hacker from scoring that second goal? That is the question. Looking at Hacker away from home, are they poor travellers? Well, that whole raft of losses there. But they did score 3 goals against Gnistan. Did draw against Lahti. Did score 3. So they start scoring 2+ goals, as you can see, against 9th and lower. So it's a difficult one, because Oulu could concede that second goal, couldn't they? But the in-play stats are with Oulu. Don't forget the 1-0 wins against 1st and 2nd, suggesting they have the ability to keep these sides quiet. Now, if you wanted to play, I could show you how I would approach it. So let's have a look. It's a tricky one, isn't it? Because it could all go pear-shaped. Because Oulu have had those couple of 1-2 defeats. But you're looking at the in-play stats, suggesting it could be one of those 1-1 days for them, where they'll only concede 1 goal maximum. So I would cover the 0-1. Or, yeah, I was going to show you the alternative. If the correct score odds are short enough, you could lay the correct score as a neutral play. So laying over 1.5 goals.
This market has been suspended.
I have to do that again. So we'll just get rid of that. Try again. Laying over 1.5 goals. So Sonda nearly made it 1-3. So we're flirting with disaster here, aren't we? with these European
This
sides,
market has been suspended.
despite the in-play stats. But it looks as if that goal hasn't stood. Now you're looking at Ulu +1. How big is that?
Midtjylland Zonderjisk is 1-3.
It's not, I don't think. I think it's been disallowed. Ulu +1 is relatively big, so it's dangerous. But by the same token, you'll get a decent return. You can see there. Up to you if you wanted to play, because you're flirting with that 1-2 defeat, aren't you? And don't forget it was 4-3 the last time these two met, so Haka can score 2 goals against this lot. It's a difficult one. Neutral plays take on the correct score if it's short enough.
This market has been suspended.
So that could be tempting to cover the insurance and lay that, because it doesn't matter who scores the next goal, does it? So that's an option to look at in the future. Let's just see what that looks like. Oh, sorry. Maybe liability because you're laying. Oh, I didn't confirm. You're only going to win a tenner in this route, so it's probably not worth it. But it's a ready option. I'm looking at ways to get rid of this 0-2 liability problem. The insurance won't be worth doing if you're going to follow this route. You can see it negates. So just experimenting, see if that will occur. Second half's the beginning now. Crystal Palace West Ham, London derby. 12 shots off target. It's a standout for the Hammers. Under new management. Palace under new management. Minus Olise, the big absentee. With Olise last season, they were incredibly difficult side.
Newport County Accrington Stanley is 2-1.
They were incredibly tough side to beat at home. And they tended to score 2+ goals at home as well. So I don't have an opinion on this one. Leicester do get the equaliser. Holstein-Kiel have been red carded against Hoff, but it's already 2-1 to the Hoff, so that could bring it home for them. Ulu flirting with disaster here, but can they keep Haka quiet? Don't forget they've got those 2 1-0 home wins against first and second in the league. So they do have that ability to keep a clean sheet. Colchester, are they going to do second half what they did first half? Certainly 3 shots off target.
Goal.
3 corners.
Dundee UTDST Johnstone is 1-0.
So they're looking okay. Again, I do like what I'm seeing from the Blades as well. Newly relegated, could dominate this second tier. Accrington Stanley, are they going to get an equaliser? See if they can keep this going, because you'll get a short odds lay of Newport County if they can. Or better odds, potentially backing Accrington. Keep your liability lower. We'll have a look. Again, this is based purely on in-play stats at this stage of the season, isn't it? So we're open to disaster. Leipzig have been red carded. 1-0 up in the 85th minute against Bochum Dano. Let's see if this was a... Note the odds, 9s. I was going to be backing Accrington in the match odds. If they score the next goal, those odds would drop markedly. And this would give you a good entry point at low risk. So that would be interesting to see. It looks like it's... no, nothing to worry about there. But we'll keep an eye on the odds. See if the market fleshes out a little bit. So we've got some speculative plays here today because we're not working with any form lines at all. And this is a concern because they're making all the right noises, but they've got European competition, and notably, dangerous attacks are favouring Sonder, which is what you rarely see for an odds-on favourite at home.
This market has been suspended.
So again, we're flirting with disaster with Midtjylland. You know the reason. Champions League upcoming, or European club competition upcoming for them. Wimbledon. Was this all first half noise. It is. They haven't got going second half yet. Just the one corner. So keep an eye on that one. See whether they will improve. Nottingham Forest, can they break through this Southampton defence? This is dangerous again. It's only the second match into the season. Southampton, newly relegated, will be keen to shut the door. I think they had an opening loss, didn't they? And they'll remember last year's head-to-head. So it's dangerous to take on these draws second half in the opening matches of the season. I'll put them forward in the hope that things will occur. Working our way down. Again, do you trust Luton? I really love those secondary stats for Luton. Let's see what kind of a play that would introduce to us. I don't like the pre-match odds, but I do like those secondary stats for Luton Town. Again, let's have a look at the current scoreline.
Falkirk predict is 1-0.
Again, can you just lay the current scoreline without insurance? This is experimental, by the way. I wonder if it will pay off, because we can't cover without it impinging on the profits. So let's just see. This covers the 2-0, doesn't it?
Falkirk predict is 1-0.
Laying over 1.5
This
goals.
market has been suspended.
Can't really do it. It's not practical. There's a 2-2 for Maitland. Brilliant. That is a really good sign. So let's break. Well, let's just look at Luton first. This is another speculative play, by the way. Okay, you have been warned. And then we'll have a look at the profits for Maitland if you topped up, which I suggested. Laying over 1.5 goals is a bit high because we're entering the second half. So again, you want to just lay the correct score. Take the hit if it's a 0-1. Or get out with a third of liability is lost. This could be the route around those 0-2 losses, couldn't it? Luton +1. Is it any significantly bigger than 1.46? I would say it's going to be over evens, given the pre-match odds. Indeed, that's a dangerous odds. So you have been warned if you're following me in here. 2.56 is far too high. Total lack of confidence, but a really good return if Luton can equalise. Let's break off and look at the importance of that goal for
This
Maitland.
market has been suspended.
Well, have Luton Town scored? We will soon find out. We've got to break and have a look at your positions in the Maitland match. There we go. That's looking a lot rosier, isn't it? So having topped up doubly, this will be playing on your mind, no doubt. But if you fancy that 35...
Prague Slovako is 0-1.
So that's a Maitland possible cash out. Don't forget the insurance premiums were very low in the Maitland match. Very low indeed. So that means that 33 is quite appealing. Don't forget, you can also get rid of the draw and Sonder, can't you? Most importantly, getting rid of this 80 quid. It's an absolute nightmare. How much is it going to impact on the profits for Maitland? Let's have a look. Don't forget, you can take the green screen. It's a reasonable profit, 33 quid, relative to a side in the Champions League or the European club competition. Or do you fancy taking a hit on that insurance premium, which will be about 6 or 7 quid, for the chance of 64 quid on Maitland? It's up to you. You can take the 34, which is pretty decent. Okay? Or you can look double that with a chance of 65 on Maitland. Or you can stay in, of course, and take the hit on the draw, but you've got to concern yourself with that £79 drop. This is a problem with what I call averaging. You're increasing your liability quite largely. Middlesbrough on the cusp of an equaliser against Portsmouth. If you're looking for that, 4 shots on 13 off 9 corners. Again, we topped up there, didn't we? If we can get that goal from Middlesbrough quickly enough, it's going to severely impact on the odds, and you'll get a nice swing in the odds. So let's have a look through. Get rid of some of my blues, I think, so I can free up and have a look at these matches which are the bottom here. We've got, again, Sparta Prague are involved in Europe and they've conceded the first goal. Karabag involved in Europe, conceded the first goal. Malmo involved in Europe, failed to win. Midtjylland involved in Europe have conceded twice. You get the picture. So equalised already. So bang goes that. Let's just have a look at some of these matches. See whether there's any I can star. Horsens against Vin Diesel. Anything to stop him acting. Keep playing football, Vin. Keep you away from our TV screens with Fast and Furious 36.
This market has been suspended.
Lincoln Town, Lincoln City, Wigan and Crawley, Wrexham and Reading. Exeter, 11 shots off 9 corners and the 51 dangerous attacks. I wonder if they'll get that equaliser. I do like Posh. They were a very good trading side last season. Let's have a look at Huddersfield again. They're playing the Shrews, aren't they? So Rangers make it 3-0. So yet again, short odds equal 3 goals. Remember that. And talking of Vin Diesel, the multi-Oscar winning talent, he scored first against Horsens. Crystal Palace and West Ham, don't have an opinion. No shots on target, apparently, for the Hammers. 12 shots off 3 corners, don't forget. This is a London derby. Only 3 corners each suggest it's been played anywhere but the goal. Two shots on target for both of these, but 19 shots off. It's a difficult one to lay that draw in with a few compelling stats. Colchester are still adding to their
Newport County
tally.
Accrington Stanley is 3-1.
And there's a goal for West Ham. So it looks like I'm in Mystic Meg mode today. Opening goal for the Hammers. But again, being a London derby, it's very difficult for me to have a lot of confidence. But 12 corners.
Crystal Palace West Ham is 0-1.
Probably a match you're better to watch, isn't it? So let's work our way through. I can get rid of that now. I'm not going to play this London derby. But Crystal Palace did equalise against Brentford.
Cheltenham AFC Wimbledon is 0-1.
And they were at home, weren't they? They are at home today. So I wonder if they'll do that. Colchester, again, I don't like, a bit squeamish laying the draw in a League 2 match. This is what Clyde did last week. And they lost 0-2. This could end 0-0, you never know. Harrogate might overreact to conceding 5 goals in their opening 2 matches of the season. The defensive coach will be having a coronary seeing that, as indeed were Millwall's defensive coach, and they ended up with a 0-0 earlier on. So it's a little bit dangerous. Well, Accrington Stanley couldn't quite make it work, so I think I could take that off the watch list. Well done to Midtjylland. Nice bit of green there. We've got a few speculative ones waiting to see whether they'll pull through. This is one of them, as you can see. No shot on target second half yet for Forest. Dangerous laying these draws second half. Only 2 shots off target and 2 corners. So a very good defensive display from the Saints. And a gentle reminder to you, 2.3 the favourite, suggests it's a very tough match for the market to unpick. We shouldn't be laying these draws this early in the season, by the way. Okay, just to let you know. But we'll give it a go and see if we can get through the other end. Preston, well, this is speculative, but I like this. Although it's all first half. Again, look at the contrast between first and second half. 2 shots on target, second half for Luton. Okay, good. notably keeping Preston North End very quiet, which is what I hope to see when I'm doing an insurance play. So we'll see whether Luton can get that equaliser yet again. 2.38 the favourite, suggesting the market didn't fancy picking a winner. Middlesbrough, well, they're just knocking on the door, aren't they? 14 shots off 9 corners. That 1-2's been covered. 0-2 and 1-2's been covered. That early goal. So that's a positive, isn't it? It's been covered. All we can do is hope for a 2-2 early enough to impact on the match odds market. Falkirk have got the goal against Partick. 58th minute, so we can get rid of that.
This
Charlton and
market has been suspended.
well, we've got a suspended market in one of our matches of interest. Let's see if that's produced a goal or not. Dundee United and St Johnstone. Well, Colchester and Harrogate has seen a goal. Now you're going to have to cash out because guess who's scored it? Okay. You're always going to get a break even or thereabouts.
Goal.
There, you've got to cash out.
Colchester Harrogate Town is 0-1.
Got to cash out. And Forest have scored. Brilliant. Wrong team scored first. Must cash out for break even. And even consider laying Harrogate.
Goal. Southampton Nottingham Forest is 0-1.
So please, please, please get out. This is a great thing about laying the draw. If you get that goal, the underdog scores it, you're going to get break even. Favourite scores it, you're going to probably get 8, 9, 10 odds and a really good odds swing. Now, dare we trust Colchester? This is English League 2 down to a T. It's completely what we're not expecting at all. Insurance is going to be far too high. I'm not going to bother with that. Colchester might be worth backing just to keep your liability low at what's on offer. As you can see there. And that will include, you could even use your green screen profit. Like that. How about that? And West Ham have scored 2 against Palace. So Palace are conceding early season under the new manager. And they're not scoring as they were when Elise was in tow. Troubling times for the Eagles, you feel. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to use my profit to back Colchester at 10.5. It's a bet to nothing. So pass that one on. Using my profit, if I can spell it, profit, after laying the draw to back Colchester.
Goal. Chesterfield Salford City
Bet
is
to nothing.
1-0.
Forest have scored first. If you laid the draw, check your position. Highly likely you're going to get a decent odd swing, I would suggest, because they were the dominant force, weren't they? So this is just a bet to nothing. You can have some fun now. Leave it. Bang. If Colchester deliver, as their odds suggest, you're up and running. Nottingham Forest against Southampton. Relative to the odds, well, it's gone up marginally. Not hugely impressive. Old swing, but a green all the same. So not hugely impressive, is it? I would have expected Forest's odds, or their in-play stats, to have suggested a better return. 3-0 Spuds, 3-0 Bodo Glimt. Again, shorties scoring 3+ goals for for your over 2.5 goal
Goal.
plays.
Fulham Leicester is 2-1.
So we'll get that one done. Forest thoroughly deserving this one. Everton, early managerial woes for Sean Dyche. Does he have a whole raft of injuries? I'm not too sure. So busy day today. I think we've got a Fulham goal to make it 2-1. It's not come up here just yet, which is a slight concern. It is live. This should be shown 2-1. These odds suggest 2-1.
Goal. Fulham Leicester is 2-1.
Ulu, well,
This match suspended.
you can see Hacker have started 2 shots off target. This was dangerous play, isn't it? Because Ulu have conceded 2 goals against its sides either side of Hacker. In the league, it was 4-3 the last time these two met, so it's very dangerous play. And it's a gentle reminder to you that it is the Veikkausliiga, and these two are in the wrong half of the Veikkausliiga. Trust issues, basically. Do you trust Colchester? Well, we've got a free bet, so it doesn't matter. We're okay. Doesn't matter what happens. Midtjylland and Sonder, can Midtjylland deliver? Or did you green up? Because if you greened up, it doesn't matter if they can deliver or not. Thoroughly deserved for Nottingham Forest. Could be a warning sign for Southampton, this. They seem to be lacking some real bite up front. All very well, you're keeping it nice and tight, but you're lacking the bite up front to take advantage. Cambridge and Blackpool is 4-4, a Desmond 4-4. If it's 4-4 late on, I certainly will lay that draw, because they're obviously got holes in the defence and the attack is scoring. Unlike Middlesbrough, but we've got that 1-2 covered. Still, secondary stats are emphatic for Luton Town. Can they break through? Only the 3 shots on target, 2 of them second half. But no shot on target for coming up to 20 minutes for Luton Town. It's important, I think, for them to start picking up points after drawing at their initial match. I think it was a draw. So Middlesbrough, well, we've got the 1-2 covered, so it's no major panic yet. That's the beauty of this John H play, the 0-2. Both teams to score. No, it's an excellent play. And I also include, of course, that 1-2. But we do need Borough to score the next goal. It's one-way traffic. There's a lot of sides today with very strong secondary stats. You can see just in this window here, Nottingham Forest, Luton Town and Middlesbrough. And notably, 2 out of 3 of these haven't scored that next goal. Let's keep a look out. I'm going to get rid of a few of these. Dundee United and St Johnstone. Well, St Johnstone again, secondary stats. Another side with secondary stats, not delivering just yet. And looks like the market got Watford absolutely spot on. So fair enough. I missed that one completely. Got the equaliser and I've pushed on. I got the win. So fair enough there. Look at Karabag. Guess what? They're involved in European club competition and they're struggling. Let's just catch up with some other matches. Hide. This is a second tier in Croatia. We don't really need any of that. So Plice 1.95 pre-match. See if they can equalise. And again, more woes for Sparta Prague pre-European club competition. They've already equalised. Do you trust them? Trusting these European sides this weekend is not producing the goods, is it? Really? So let's just, we can get rid of Lincoln. That looks like a job done. Wrexham. We'll work our way down. This is the Desmond 4-4. So look out for a very, very late lay the draw in that one. A humdinger of a match. Doncaster and Morecambe. 12 shots off to, well, I did look at Accrington earlier on, but Newport made it 3-1, so that pretty much kills off any great interest there. Look at Fleetwood Town. Yet again, secondary stats. 3 shots on target, all coming second half. 12 shots off target, 4 of them second half. And 6 corners, 4 of them second half. So we'll eye that one, that's for sure. And it's a disappointing display from Crystal Palace. Or is it an opportunity to lay if they can just come alive? Let's have a look. West Ham. New manager, so could be anything, couldn't they? Could be anything. This will be a real scalp if it's true form. And Maitland, make it a win. I don't know why West Ham aren't coming up. Let's go to Palace. Come on.
Goal. Midtjylland Zonderjysk is 3-2.
I don't know what's happened with that. Let's go to Maitland. And you can get out of your positions now. 3-2. Right. Not working, the search facility. So that's a bit of a pain. Right. This is unexpected because we do normally get that working. So it's the 24th today. Let's see if we can find Maitland. This is in alphabetical order, thankfully. But the search facility normally works and works well. But it could be under FC Maitland, that's the problem. So I need this to work. No. Ah, that is disappointing. Here they are. Good. So you should be seeing a more significant green, but it looks as if that goal didn't stick. It's come up as 3-2 on Football 24, but that's unless I've lost my Betfair. Ah, there we go. Yeah, problems with Betfair. Thank you for that. I thought I was just going to check my internet connection. So there's very little we can do at the moment, apart from wait for it to come back. Yeah, looks like it. Because this isn't working. So that's a pity. So we've got open positions we can't manage. And in cases like this, you might want to have an alternative betting exchange up. Matchbook.com, Smarkets, something like that, just as a backup. This is a pity. I would have been keen to have laid West Ham at very short odds. Just because Palace might score. And we'll keep an eye on Ulu as well. As long as it remains 0-1, that would be okay. Wonder if Colchester can take advantage or make their solid stats count. And it's just a gentle reminder to you, English League 2, look, one-way traffic and a goal down. Maitland, well, we got that profit, but I can't get out of that one. So I'll just pass it on. Betfair is down at the moment, I'm afraid. So there's no way to access the markets we've got positions in. It's just got to hope that they can get back up and running. So let's just, we're waiting for a possible equaliser here. possible equaliser here. Free bet to nothing with 9 minutes to go. Be keen to green up here because it's pre-European club competition. If we get caught with a 3-3, it won't be happy with that. Is the market back up? No. So this is incorrect. And we will be waiting for Betfair to come back up. So what a pity. Barnsley and Northampton is a 2-2 late on. Got quite a few 2-2s today.
Blackburn Oxford UTD is 2-1.
Bradford 3. So red card for Salford, so we'll get rid of that one. It says all second half stats, secondary stats for Luton Town. Can they deliver that equaliser? It's going to be very important for them to start picking up points. As long as they keep Preston quiet, you don't want that second goal. The 82nd, well, 2 shots off target, no shots on target, and only 1 corner. So a very good defensive display from Luton so far. Can they reward themselves with an equaliser at least here? Very solid stats. Middlesbrough, we've got that 1-2 covered, remember. But we would be keen, if it was a 2-2, to get into the market so we can check our positions. Exeter and Pompey, well, it looks like, no, Peterborough, sorry, posh. Cambridge and Blackpool, if Betfair was up, I would be looking at laying the draw 1.25 and lower there. I'll ignore that one. Dundee and St Johnstone, again, secondary stats for St Johnstone. Are they going to equalise? Pre-match favourite, 1.75 for Dundee United. Qarabag, again, a European side, not delivering. Sparta Prague, another European side, floundering. Let's have a look at some of these, although we can't play. I'll just get Betfair up on my telephone. Just to see if we can get in. Right. So I'll just have a look at Betfair, and once the warning comes back up, hopefully I can alert you to it. We won't be too laboured with our positions. We've got a lot of insurance plays there. Yeah, it's watch this space at the moment. It's just the exchange that is down. You can't really do any hedging with a sports book. The sports book is the bookmaker element, and of course, the odds are just awful. With the bookmakers, you're not getting any decent value at all. So I'll forward you any correct scores, particularly the ones of importance for us, and then we'll call it a day. And just hope that Betfair comes up a bit later on, because we've got some fascinating football matches later on with AC Milan, Inter Milan, and Inter Milan must win. Got a very sloppy 2-2 in their opening match. Must win. Simple as that. So it's a watch this space at the moment on Betfair. Just hope we're not going to be punished, because Betfair will not care if you lose money in your perfectly crafted insurance plays. So the ones of importance, or the ones I would have liked to have got involved in, would have been the lay of West Ham late on. looking for that Ulu equaliser with 4 minutes to go. And again, you're at this stage of the match now where, had you taken out insurance, you can cash out of both markets and you'll be in a position to get out and cover any potential late second goal for Hacker. Colchester, 8 shots on, 17 off, 13 corners. Welcome to English League 2, where sides with 25 shots and 13 corners manage somehow to lose 0-1. Oh boy. Norwich and Sheffield United, well, this is all academic really. Good secondary stats from Sheffield United, don't have a strong opinion there. Maitland I wanted to cash out of at 3-2. Don't have a strong opinion with that one. Well done to Forest. Thoroughly deserved, as you can see in front of you. 23 shots, 10 corners. It spells trouble for newly relegated Saints. You'd have thought there'd be newly promoted Saints. My apologies. It does spell potential trouble for them. Blackburn and Oxford. Get rid of that one. Luton, again, it's all secondary stats. It does suggest it's a very good defensive display from Preston North End. 2 shots on target, the last one nearly half an hour ago for Luton Town. So insurance is working there again, but this is yet another one of those matches you'd have the opportunity to cash out in case Preston make it 2-0 for a break even. Fleetwood and the Gills, well, based on what you're seeing here, you'd have been looking, wouldn't you, for the potential of Fleetwood to get that win. We've still got to watch this space
Goal
on Betfair.
Dundee UTDST Johnstone is 2-0.
Yeah, we've still got the maintenance, so to say, on that. So we can't do much with that. Middlesbrough, 1-2 is still covered. I can't show you, but it's still covered. Whenever you do both teams to score, no, particularly, as you can see there, 2nd minute goal for Portsmouth. It's a perfect opportunity for John H's both teams to score, no, because we got odds of 9. Don't forget, that covers the 0-1 as well. So it's very useful. Man City, of course, nothing we could have done really. They're just straight out, straight back in. Bang. This I would start drip laying if I had the opportunity. So we will see. Get rid of that one with the red card. And we're just waiting for these matches to end now. And hopefully we won't be troubled with any late goals against our favoured sides. Horsens against Vin Diesel. Well, that's another one. If Betfair was up, you'd be keen to get involved. That's MK Dons making it 3-0 against Carlisle. It's a late Sunderland red card against Burnley. Are they going to be punished? Well, it doesn't look like it. They've kept Burnley out. They could get through. This is one, if you trusted the market, bang, you'd be straight in there. But what a pity. Barnsley and Northampton, 2-2. So once this is all over, I'll call it a day. And I'm not sure if we'll have anything to pass on to you this evening unless Betfair gets back up. And again, nothing doing at the moment on Betfair. Watch this space. So you've got Salford red card, but just the 2 shots on target for Chesterfield in reaction to that. Everton are in a whole spot of bother. That's 7 goals in 2 matches. Ouch. That's sackable offence for Sean Dyche. So I'm sorry about this ending. It's out of my control, of course. But let's just make sure that any insurance plays we did have are okay. 4-1 to Man City. A gentle reminder to you, over 3.5 goals. And this could be something for us to follow up on, isn't it, as we move forward. We've got to think of our outs, we've got to think of our entry points and our exit points. So maybe a focus on matches where it's 0-0 after 20 minutes would be a really solid start, wouldn't it? I know Paul Dunwoody's mentioned that. And thank you very much for your message, Paul. Apologies, I haven't replied to it. I will read it. Lots of good ideas for this over 2.5 goals malarkey. Middlesbrough make it 2-2. So again, I can't show you the impact of that.
Goal. Middlesbrough Portsmouth is 2-2.
It's going to probably produce a loss on the draw unless you went +1. But that 1-2, you saw the importance of the 1-2. It got you involved. And you could have even laid Pompey late on, given all of this. Wow. 27 shots in total, 15 corners. Lay Pompey as late as possible. But it's all academic, I'm afraid. How sloppy of Betfair to be down right in the middle of a Saturday afternoon. And indeed, when you've got a whole raft of plays on. So let's just see. So far, we've got away with it. Insurance here. Looks like it's going to remain 0-1. So again, it's still watch this space. So break even, hopefully, if this remains 0-1. A bet to nothing on Colchester. Perfect play, really, for me. You've got a 67 quid profit here, I think, on Mutland. I loaded up on Mutland, so that's very useful indeed. Well done to Nottingham Forest. If you cast out of your later draw, that's a good idea. But if you stayed in as well, that's also a good idea. Just put that in your notebook. Southampton, spot of bother. Luton Town. Well, again, insurance is going to pay off here. We're with the right team here. They are the second half side against Preston, just not crossed the line. So we haven't had any major harm done with this Betfair going down. It's just you're not able to get out of your positions, particularly this one here. And you could even lay the late draw at a dominance from Borough. If we get the win on Borough, that would be a good profit because I averaged up. That's the whole point of me averaging, was to wait for this 2-2 and see what kind of a green or a red I would have got then. But I can't do it. It's a pity. Blackpool and Cambridge as well. Possibility laying that late draw, hypothetically. Again, possibility of a Sparta Prague equaliser, but it is pre-European club competition. Horson's second half. Well, again, it's a day of secondary stats, isn't it? Really. So it looks like it's coming to an end. Our matches of importance haven't really been punished by Betfair going down, which is good. That's the importance of insurance as well. Your insurance will pay out. It's a very important element of the jigsaw, isn't it? Hedging and insurance. So it might be a quiet evening, I'm afraid, after this. It's beyond my control, but just wait for these matches to finish. Colchester ends. Could be nice to see Midland end with Sonder making some late noise. Be nice to see Middlesbrough get the win. 28 shots, 15 corners, 94 attacking pressure index. One of those matches I would look to lay that draw. And I would look to have laid Pompey late on as well, I think, given that Borough stats. Again, called averaging up kind of thing. They get you nearer to a break-even point if you start picking off in increments. For example, that lay of Portsmouth and a small back of Middlesbrough. Cambridge and Blackpool, that ends 4-4. So we're just waiting for Uli to end. That ends 0-1. Insurance would have paid out there. So that's good. This one has ended in a profit. You'd have made, I think, 67 quid. I can't show you it. Or can I? 63 quid there. So that's pretty good. That will be paid out. So happy with that. 63 quid there. Profit there. Still, I would be looking to lay that Middlesbrough draw. Really would be looking to lay it. So we'll see whether Middlesbrough can cross the line. Well, we've got a goal come in. Who is it? Let's hope it's Liexos, so nothing to worry about there. Right, that seems to be about that. So I'll call it a day now. My apologies. And you might not be hearing from me for a while until Betfair gets back up. I do hope you've not been had any problems there. I'll say goodbye now. Have a great rest of your evening. And if Betfair's down, I'll see you again tomorrow.